Hi, I'm SoCal Honey Badger, and that was my intro. Okay guys, let's get started on explaining turns in a fighting game. First of all, shout out to Fazette for basically harassing me until I made this video. And cause yeah, you know, if I don't get poked and prodded, then sometimes I just sit on my couch and play phone games. So taking turns in a fighting game, I wrote notes. See the notes? See my notes? Okay, this is serious. I'm taking this serious, guys. All right. Fighting games are the people consider them or call them turn-based games, but they're not turn-based in the sense of Final Fantasy, where it's your turn and a menu comes up and you pick a move and do it. It's turn-based in the sense that there are certain times when it is your turn to attack, and there are certain times when it is your opponent's turn to attack. And what you do during your attack and what you do during their attack determines the outcome of whether or not you can win or you can't win. First of all, the games don't decide who goes first. The players kind of decide who goes first. There's a lot of talk about neutral, and you know, they call it the nooch. Neutral is literally how it is right here, right? Okay, round one, fight. You have two characters standing there. Nobody is at any advantage and nobody is at any disadvantage. They're both at a neutral state. You could do whatever you want. You can walk back, you can walk forward, you can push buttons. They're probably going to do the same thing. You can block. That's neutral. There are no turns decided there. Who gets to go first is whoever goes first. And what you do with your turn determines whether or not you're going to get hit or whether or not you're going to hit them back. So this isn't really a video about neutral, but neutral is what determines who gets to go first. So what you want to do in order to understand your turn is know the spacing of your character's moves and understand your whiff range and your hit range. So for example, I've been playing a lot of other characters. I've been playing Liu Kang, who is the best character in the game apparently, and people are like, how is it you play a character that's super cheap and the best character in the game and you get your ass kicked, but you play your main and you blow everybody up? And it's because I understand where to start my turn and where I need to be standing to get my move out to not whiff and connect. So for example, with Kung Lao, okay, whiffing that on my first turn, round one fight, not good. That connected. So at turn one, or at start a fight in the neutral, I know I can hit that from this range at the beginning of the match. That's an important thing that you'll have to learn about your characters. Where are your moves going to whiff and where are they going to connect? And from that, you can take your turn. If you whiff, you used your turn, and now they can hit you back as a whiff punish, right? If you hit, and it's a move that can continue into a combo of some sort, if I can do that. Why am I? Oh, that's right. It's because I suck. It's really hard to do this and look at you and look at that, right? But that's how you decide whose turn it is first. And if you hit, it's your turn. If you didn't hit, it's not your turn. If they got to move out faster, so for example this move, right, that move at the start of the match can reach. This move cannot, right? So let's look at our frame data, and forward 2 is 15 frames, forward 1 is 10 frames. So this is your decision making in the neutral about using your basic opening of the match to determine what you want to do on your turn to set up any future follow-ups. This is 15 frames, that's 10 frames. The slower one reaches further than the faster one. So again, it doesn't really, like, the game doesn't say, oh, it's your turn. It's whoever's move comes out first and reaches. This move would come out first if I was fighting another Kung Lao and we both decided to do a move at the same time, and I did this move and they did that move, mine will hit, theirs will miss. And that's the opening turn. Now, so once you understand your spacing and once you understand your frame data enough to know what moves are faster and what moves have better range, you can start deciding where you want to be. Okay, so with Kung Lao, I kind of want to be here to hit that, right? Or if I'm back here, there, and that's going to be my opening move, and then the opponent is going to do the same thing. So there are a couple of things that you need to understand from there. When it is your turn, when it is not your turn, and what you should do in each of those situations. So first of all, when it is your turn, you're going to push buttons and do combos, right? What buttons and combos you push is going to depend on the range and the speed. We already covered that. But what about other situations where it might be your turn, right? In the neutral, you're not really picking when your turn is, you're just taking it if you can get it. But there are certain situations when it is your turn, and those situations are called advantage. That comes from looking at your command list, and you can see this move has a hit advantage of 10 frames. So that means after doing that move, if I hit that move, it is still my turn. They cannot attack me. Any move I do is going to come out 10 frames faster, which means jabs are basically instant, right? Jabs are about 7 frames, so my jab will come out 3 frames faster than anything else if we pushed our buttons at the same time. So you want to look through your command list and find which moves give you advantage. So that's going to be this move. I'm at plus 10, they can't do anything, right? I've created a turn. The other time when you're going to be at advantage is when you get a knockdown, right? So you knock them down and they're getting up. This is a type of advantage called wake up, get up, or oki or okezeme. Probably do a video on that entirely, but just know that when you get a knockdown, you are at advantage. It is your turn again. So you can start building setups for when they get up, and they'll get up right into your move, right? You can do that, and she gets up right into my combo. What's another one? Oh, this one. This is a common one. And they get up right into my combo. They get up, and they can't act, right? They're locked into their animations. I have, what is 1 plus forward 1 2 46 frames of hit advantage. So I have 46 frames to get my next move out, and they just kind of have to respect that. Again, there's more that goes into wake up and get up and oki. That would be another video. But basically, you want to take your advantage. You look through your command list and find moves that either give you a knockdown or they give you advantage. So for example, that gives me 15 frames of advantage. I can do whatever I want. If I time it right, I can get it combo. You see that's 3 hits. Look at your command list, start seeing where you're going to get advantages. That's where you get another turn. The most common way of getting another turn after a move is at poke range. This is the basic breakdown of Mortal Kombat 11 in a nutshell. Everything comes from here, right? And this is when you're going to see people doing this nonsense, right? You're going to take your down jab, it hits, you're at frame advantage, you get another turn. You can do that and jail, or you can do that. Grab, we covered that in the previous video. So the third way to know when it is your turn is when their turn ends. That one is a very, very simple thing. Okay, if you look at the command list and you look at every move, pretty much every move is going to be minus, except for like this is +1 on block, but every other move is going to be minus on block. So that means your turn has ended if they blocked it. So you want to look at whenever they do a string, when they finish their string, their turn is over. That's where staggering and things like that come into play. What the hell is going on? I'm not editing that out. You guys are just going to have 5 seconds of me fixing something. Anyways, what are we talking about? That's right. Block. So let's set our AI to block everything. And I did a move. I finished the string. I'm at negative. What is the negative on this? Forward 1, 2, -7 on block. So my turn is over. It is now their turn. So if I were the other player, I would know that my turn has now come, and it is my turn to push buttons. Again, the more common aspect of this is, let me set the block mode again to all, is in close range when people are doing the down pokes. So all down pokes are negative, but they're not negative enough to be punished, right? This is -4 on block, down 1. So even if I do another one, right? This is my fastest move. I do it again. If they block that move, and this is all down posts, it's universal across Mortal Kombat specifically, but other fighting games are similar. It's their turn. So you can never push buttons again after a block down poke. If they're quick enough and they react to the fact that you block or they blocked your poke, they can stick out another poke and basically stop you, and you will get hit. And it will not be fun. This is what they call playing disrespectfully or trying to steal a turn. I'll cover that in a second. But you're disrespecting the frame data. So the frame data says that you're at -4 and it's not your turn to attack anymore. You took your turn, they blocked, it's now their turn. If you stick another button out, you're disrespecting the frame data, you're disrespecting the game engine. That's why they call it being disrespectful and being respectful. You're going to block. Okay, I'm going to block. I'm going to hit. Oh, you blocked it. I'm blocking. That's playing respectful because you know the frame data and you are respecting the fact that you are at disadvantage and your best option is to not attack. You can't win playing respectful all the time. You do have to take the risk. That's what a read is. So moving on to when it is not your turn and what is a read. That's how I segue. What is a read? A read is when you know what they're going to do next and you counter it. So for example, I used my turn to do a down one. They blocked. I know they're probably going to do a down poke as well. So I do that and I short hop to top over it. Oh. So you do that and you short hop kick, right? That's making a read. Short hop kick, not a very safe, not a very simple thing to just throw out. You can get punished for it, but I know on your turn you're going to throw out a low poke, so I'm going to counter it preemptively. That's what a read is. So you want to start looking at your opponent's habits on their turn and see what they want to do. And that, and let me look at my notes. Oh, here we go. So what do you do when it is your opponent's turn? I told you what to do on your turn, which is attack. High, low, grab, doesn't matter. What do you do on your opponent's turn? Once you understand when it's not your turn, you have several different options. Basically 3. You have 3 options for what you can do on their turn, and how you navigate those decisions based on the reads you have made about how they are going to use their turn can help you win. Like I said, playing respectful and just blocking after every time it's not your turn, you're not going to win. If they know that you're going to block every time it's their turn, they're going to grab you. Or they're going to be like me and they're just going to grab you anyways. And I'm just going to grab you even when it's not my turn. Okay? So there are 3 things you can do when it is not your turn. And it's very important that you understand those 3 options, because this is universal across the whole cast in this game, and in Mortal Kombat X, and in Mortal Kombat 9, and in Guilty Gear, and in Tekken, in every game. You always have 3 options when it's not your turn. The first option is to block, right? Did a poke, they blocked, not my turn, I'm gonna block. Did a string, they blocked, not my turn, I'm gonna block. Right? This is 99% of what you should do. Every time you do a move, you block. Every time they block, you block. The only time you don't block is when you got the hit and you're doing a combo. Otherwise, you want to block almost 99% of the time. The reason being, because I know someone's going to be saying, well, what if they grab you, and what if they do this? Grabs max out at 140 damage. Grabs are usually a low damage option unless you're playing a grappler, but across every fighting game, grabs usually don't do a whole lot of damage. So you see that is 140 damage. Let's turn off the block mode, right? And 270 damage, whatever. I dropped my die. Not important. So do you want to take 140 damage or do you want to take 270 damage? This is the decision-making process that has to go into your mind when it is their turn. What's going to be the worst thing to take? The worst thing to take is always going to be the combo. So 9 times out of 10, you want to block. If they're going to grab you, they're going to grab you, but it's always better than taking the combo. Now, second thing you can do when it is not your turn is evade. And that's how you beat grabs, right? So if we set our AI person to duck, roll up, grab, and it misses. There are several different kinds of evasion in Mortal Kombat. Other games have more or less, but your evasion comes down into 3 steps. There's duck, there's jump, and there's walk away. Depending on the opponent you're fighting and what their moves are and their options, you will decide from there which evasion to do. But evasions are always used to beat a very specific thing, okay? If I'm fighting a very close range character with a bunch of stubby buttons, like say Jackie, I would maybe back up or backdash. But Kung Lao's backdash, as you can see, it's not so good. So you can evade by just walking back. That's called the shimmy. It's a big part of the neutral, but you can sit there and you do a move, they blocked, I'm going to evade and walk back. The other evasion is ducking. This will beat out high attacks and grabs, but if you block while ducking, it doesn't really, it raises, you see how when Kung Lao is ducking normal, he's really low, I block, he stands up straight. Blocking actually makes your character bigger, so things that normally wouldn't make contact will make contact. So you can do things to get frame advantage and you can still be grabbed. So if you're going to evade by ducking, you have to let go of block. It's the only way to avoid a grab. The problem is, you're not blocking, they can hit you. The third option for evasion is the jump. So in Mortal Kombat, when you jump, I believe it is 2 frames of animation. So when he jumps, within 2 frames of animation, he is considered airborne. You cannot grab someone that is airborne unless it is a command grab and they are in a juggle state and you're using a grab and a combo. But your regular garden variety grab, it's going to whiff on a jump. So you can do a neutral jump and go right into a big combo to blow up their grab attempt. Again, because you are not blocking, you can get hit. So if someone is neutral jumping and I stick out a button, they're going to eat the combo. There is a lot of risk involved with trying to evade, again, because if I'm blocking, I can't move. If I'm walking backwards, I'm not blocking. If I duck to avoid a grab, I'm not blocking, and mids are going to hit me. If I jump, I'm not blocking. Everything's going to hit me. So there is a risk. That's why you 99% of the time want to block. Then if you make a read, okay, on their turn, he's going to try to grab. I'm going to let go of block. I'm going to sit here and take the risk, and I'm going to gamble my health bar on that risk because I know for a fact that they are going to grab. And if you're right, you can get a big crushing blow. You can whiff the grab and then just go right into a combo. All kinds of stuff. But again, if you're wrong, taking big damage. That's 30%. So I only have to do that 3 times. But you can avoid that 30% by blocking. So back to what I said, 99% of the time, you want to just block. The third, are you doing it again? Sometimes I hate everything and I hate everybody. Anyways, what was I talking about? The third thing, right? The third thing you can do when it is not your turn is you can disrespect and try to steal a turn. This is a ballsy move, and you probably shouldn't do it 9 times out of 10. And stealing a turn is something that people do that aren't very... Usually it's beginners, and that's a way to tell if someone is a beginner, is if they try to steal turns. And then you're going to get blown up every time. So if we set our AI to block everything, I pushed a button, she blocked it, I'm at disadvantage, it's no longer my turn. My first option should be to block. My second option is to evade. Third option is steal a turn and just go for it with another attack. Again, this is very risky because my fastest move, standing 1, 8 frames startup, down 1, 7 frames startup. If I hit this and they block it, I'm at -4, so we'll add 4 to whatever it is I'm trying to do, right? So that's 8. So we do that. This is a 12 frame startup move. Doesn't matter how fast I push it, it's still going to come out 12 frames after whatever they wanted to do next. So you don't want to try to steal a turn very often. But oftentimes you will find yourself in a situation where you have to steal turns. This is being at a disadvantage. Say, for example, your health is low, right? And they have tons of health. If you sit there blocking all day, the tip during the loading screen says blocking will get you nowhere. So you eventually have to try to steal a turn. But again, you want to pick when you steal a turn very strategically. You want to sit there and know and make the read on what they are going to do before you try to steal a turn. If you play a very aggressive character, you can do things like frame traps. So I'll do this, they block it, I'm at disadvantage to the point where they can punish me. But I can sit here and pull out a special move, and if they tried to punish this move, I hit them with my spin. So, and then you can also do it on whiff. So that's a way of frame trapping someone to try and steal a turn again. In that it's not your turn, you are at negative, but you are putting yourself in that position specifically to try and bait something out that you can counter with your own attack. That's one way of stealing a turn, but the primary way you're going to see is people just going unga bunga and disrespecting, not caring, and I'm just going to push buttons even though they're blocking. Don't do that too often. If you're fighting someone that's very timid and not taking their turn, say for example, I hit my down poke and they blocked it, but they continue to block, and she's just sitting there blocking, right? Then I know she's timid and I can steal my turn. I know after hitting a move, she's going to continue blocking, I can grab it. This is where staggering comes in, right? You hear me talk about this a lot. And this is one other way to steal turns. So for example, I have this string, which is forward 1, 3, up 2. It's a 3-hit string. I do forward 1, I stop, and she's going to continue blocking because she knows there's more hits there. That's where you can stagger it and start it again. When am I gonna finish the string? You don't know. So I'm mixing in when I'm going to stop, and she's going to have to block because she's afraid of taking her turn. Even though I do this move and I stop, it's her turn, but she doesn't take her turn because she's afraid of that third hit. I can go in and steal a turn, or you can just keep going into the string until you eventually finish it. Once you finish the string, your turn is over. The problem with staggering is that there's still risk involved. So you look at forward 1 is -5 on block. So if she knows I'm going to stagger this, she knows after she blocks that, it's her turn. But I stole my turn by starting it again. So you don't want to become too predictable with your staggering to steal more turns and get more opportunities for pressure, because if they get the read, they're going to blow you up. They're going to hit you, and there's not much you can do because you decided to push buttons when it wasn't your turn. So anyways, that would be pretty much the gist and the breakdown, simplifying the turn-based aspect of fighting games. I hope this is helpful for you guys. I know that a lot of people have been asking me about turn-based, the turn-based jargon and vocabulary in fighting games on the stream. I try to explain whenever I can, but I promised everybody, opened up my mouth and said I was going to make a YouTube video breaking it down, and then I didn't for like 2 weeks because I thought about doing it, and then I decided instead to just continue living my life the way it already was. But Phasette bugged me, and there's the video. If there's anything that you guys want more further clarification on, you can find me on Twitch, SoCal Honey Badger, or twitch.tv/SoCal Honey Badger. You can find me on Twitter, again, SoCal Honey Badger. You can ask me questions there, or you can leave a comment on the bottom, and I will try to get to you as soon as possible. And that's it. I'm gonna go get me some Doritos and maybe play some more Mortal Kombat myself. I suggest you go get Doritos, you go play Mortal Kombat. I'm out.
Hey, so, if you, follow YouTube enough, you know that they like to put weird stuff all over the screen for the last 30 seconds. So this is gonna fill that space. Yeah. Yeah. It's probably right there and there. All over the place right now. Yeah, go ahead and click that stuff if you want. And that's 30 seconds.